Hello, welcome to the Healthy Alternatives podcast. I am Dr. Christine Sauer with DocChristine.com. Today's show is a recording of my radio show of the same name. Enjoy! Good afternoon, this is Dr. Christine Sauer, your host of the show Healthy Alternatives, here on 97.5 CIOE FM with live stream on communityradio.ca every Thursday at 12 noon Atlantic Standard Time. Thanks for tuning in today. In this show, I will talk mostly with guests about all aspects of health, healthcare and wellness, from conventional to alternative and everything in between. My mission for this radio show is to help change people's lives for the better by informing them about different options to get and stay healthy and well, so they can choose for themselves which option might work in their case. And if you feel you are stuck in a dark place, I want to tell you, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Today I am very pleased to be with Diana Doherty, a certified yoga instructor, registered holistic nutritionist, and a certified nutritionist and a wellness coach. Welcome, Diana, to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it's really fun to have people around that have some background and information. So let me ask you the question I tend to ask every guest. How did you end up becoming what you are today?
Well, actually, it was through my own health issues. I was experiencing some allergies and sensitivities. My energy was very, very low, and I was just having one sinus infection right after another, one after another, and became allergic to the actual antibiotic that the doctors were giving me to help with the sinus infection. So that wasn't working. So I decided to move on to alternate medicine, if you will, and or other choices. And I discovered a naturopath, and I went to that naturopath. And I do remember saying to myself as I walked out the door for the appointment, I remember looking in the mirror and saying to myself, I don't care how whacked out, how crazy, how messed up that I think this doctor is, that I know they're going to tell me to do some really crazy things because, you know, we've all heard about the naturopaths and the holistic approach, that it's definitely a different one. And I had the mindset to go in and do what the doctor was going to tell me to do, and I did. And I had to eat 3 huge salads a day at the end of it, and I had energy testing done, and I was not allergic, but sensitive to about 40 things in my diet that I had to take out. And it ranged from bleach to sunlight detergent. Oh, I shouldn't probably say that.
Some kind of a detergent.
Some kind of a detergent. And, to pineapple, to vanilla, all different sorts of things that I had to eliminate. Now, that doesn't mean eliminating it out of your diet for life, but enough to get the sensitivities under control. And I eliminated those things for probably 6 to 8 weeks, and then eventually started to incorporate them back in my diet, so I was able to figure out what it was that was triggering these sinus infections. So we got that all straightened out, and I said, wow, there's really something to this, and I just wanted to explore it more for myself, for starters. And then I asked a friend of mine who was involved in alternate medicine at the time, saying, you know, if I wanted to get into this field, what would you suggest would be a good introductory course to take? And she had suggested reflexology. So I signed up for the reflexology course, and that's kind of how the ball got rolling. And then I went, and I was already currently doing yoga then, and I loved yoga, and I loved it so much that I decided to become a teacher, and then, of course, that led to the natural nutritionist. Was kind of completing the circle. So that kind of how it all landed about.
So that sounds really wonderful what you're doing. And I know that when I do the allergy test with my clients, it makes a big difference. And I always correlate it with their nutritional profile, with their diet, to make sure that they don't have to eliminate items that they're really not allergic to that just come up as false positives, which we all know happens. It's quite interesting. And I enjoy hearing your story about it. It really makes a big difference.
Well, yes, and there is a difference between sensitivities and allergies. And, people figure that if in order to be sensitive, there has to be some kind of like a rash or, hives or things of that nature. Well, that's more allergy related, where sensitivities drain your energy and make you listless and those type of things.
The problem is that allergies is a big umbrella term that's not clearly defined. And when you only define it as the IgE mediated allergy, then you miss out on a lot of delayed type allergies that are still allergies, but often called sensitivities, and you can test them with an IgG allergy test or IgA. You can, and it works most of the time. And there's the type 4 allergies, that's the typical skin allergies, the nickel allergy.
Yes, I had that done as well. And I didn't show anything.
No,
but when I went to the naturopath, there was 40 things that I had to
And I've seen that over and over my clients, that the conventional allergy tests come back negative because they only test for IgE, so for immediate type. But it's the delayed type that causes inflammation, and the inflammation causes you to be tired and the mitochondrial insufficiency, and that is fascinating.
Well, it is really, and to reiterate, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a naturopath that you go to. There's lots and lots of practitioners out there who have the ability to do these testings and to have them done, and it really is worth it because there's so many hidden things,
And I feel you always have to ask, where do they come from? What's their experience? Because there's quacks out there and charlatans that claim they can do things, and then they take your money and nothing happens.
Well, yes, there's always that layer.
And it's a sad thing that there's really no licensure of that kind in Nova Scotia, in that area.
Well, yes, as a nutritionist, I struggle with that with supplements. There really isn't any regulation on it as such. But this is part of the job that we do as holistic nutritionists. We're treating the source of the problem, not the symptom. And, we're trying to enhance life and wellness for the individual. And everybody's different. And, it's a case by case. You can't brush everybody with the same paint, so to speak. And you have to find out what's going on with the individual.
I totally agree. And I think modern medicine often ignores that fact and says, oh, you have pain, you take this pill.
Oh.
And it just, yes, many conventional doctors realize that is not the real thing to do. But it is so easy to do. And many patients, clients fall for that. And they say, oh, I don't have the energy to change my lifestyle. I just pop some pills and hope that the cholesterol pills will prevent my heart attack. And then they start eating junk food all day. And it is sad to watch, but I mean,
it's kind of a Band-Aid effect, really, isn't it? Basically that... Well, it's just Western medicine, and, I do believe that there is a need for Western medicine. I'm not against it. I believe that our type of treatments and work is to be integrated and to work together with the industry to enhance the individual's health. I mean, that's what we're all trying to do at the end of the day.
Right. And I'm fully of your opinion that there's a big hole gaping in the treatment of chronic illnesses, and many even registered dietitians just look at the official guidelines, and there's so much lacking in that.
Well, there is a place for a dietitian and there is a place for a nutritionist. A nutritionist is preventative disease. We're there prior to the disease coming in place and taking a hold of the body and trying to manage it that way. Whereas a dietitian comes in after the fact when the disease is already in place, and they're there to manage and to help the person regulate and manage that disease.
And I know dietitians that go into the preventative field also, and most of them are really well educated and well-meaning, but they often lack what we have from the other side, the spiritual, the alternative side. and many work just with conventional medicine, and I feel they're missing out on a lot of potential change they could do, positive change in their clients.
Yes, well, that's where I like to incorporate or integrate my therapies, and reflexology is a great tool to have the client be able to assess their body as to what's going on, and then be able to treat it with nutrition and yoga. So you're getting the mind, body, spirit connection there as well, and it's just to help the client again.
That's the main thing.
That's the main thing. Elevate them to the next level.
Yeah, we talked a little bit before the show that everybody has a certain level. We pick them up and we try, as you said, to elevate them to the next level, whatever that means for them.
Right. Everybody moves up.
Hopefully.
Yeah. All but up. Everywhere's good to go. Yes, where you got to go is up. Right?
I'm always frustrated when I hear somebody say, "Oh, I just live day to day."
Oh, well, day to day is good because you got to live, but it's just like to look towards the future and to have a goal and to know where you're going. And each day is a challenge. It's as we live the lifestyle that we talk. It's not easy for us either. As you and I, as individuals, we're not perfect. We are going to fall. We're going to succeed. And it's about the balance.
Yeah. And one of my mentors, Brené Bouchard, always said, "Honor your struggle."
Yes.
And it's so important that we honor our struggle and the one of our client and everybody around us. And I really believe that everybody struggles. Yes. And we are not perfect, as you said. Nobody is. And if somebody claims to be, I have a feeling he's either not self-aware or he's consciously lying, one of the two.
I really don't want to be perfect, to be honest with you.
No.
It's fun being a little bit imperfect.
I used to be a perfectionist, and it got me just stressed out.
Oh, yes, that's what we'll do.
Yeah. We'll do our best. That's all we can do.
Yes, that's all we can do.
And that's sometimes enough. Most of the time it's enough.
Most of the time it is enough. As long as you're satisfied with yourself and you know where you're going and what you're doing, then it just evolves naturally onto other people.
And I love that. I really feel that from you, that you are a servant at heart. You really want to help other people, help themselves and get well. And obviously it takes change on their part, and change can be painful.
Yes, well, the person has to be willing to want to change. I believe anybody can change if they want to. But you have to want to change, and also being aware of what you need to change of, because 50% of the battle is awareness.
I agree.
Once you become aware of something that you're doing, and then you are able to change it. If you're unaware of something that you're doing, then you're oblivious. You don't even know you're doing it, so why would you change it?
I completely agree, and that is a wonderful thought to leave our first half of the show with. And this brings us to the end of the first half of today's broadcast here on 97.5 CIOE FM Community Radio. Please tune in after the commercial break for more with Diana Doherty about holistic wellness. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to Healthy Alternatives here on 97.5 CIOE FM on the web at communityradio.ca. I'm your host, Dr. Christine Sauer, and today I'm talking with Diana Doherty, the wellness coach.
Wow, thank you so much. Always glad to be here.
And in the break, we started to talk a little bit about personal growth, personal responsibility. And you said how often in our lives we have a moment where we have to listen to ourselves and our inner voice.
Yes. Life is so hectic, and we're all about go, 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 go. And we very seldom take the time to really settle ourselves down. And we figure the more stress we get, the more you have to go at a topic or go at it and really, conquer it. But if you could just take a moment to step back and breathe and to just be and settle yourself, go for a nice drive or a nice walk by yourself out in nature and just hear the birds whistling and the rumbling of the river or whatever it is, and the spot that makes you feel the most comfortable, then the clarity will come and the answers will come. And they don't have to be huge, big revelations, that you'll just know, that peacefulness will come over you and you'll just know what it is that you're supposed to do next.
I completely agree, and often it's called synchronicity, and I had that happen a few times in my life. It made me end up in Nova Scotia, made me meet my very nice now husband. Mm-hmm. And I must say in the first half of I tend to hope it's just the third of my life, I was completely ignorant of that little voice. I just did what my mother told me, and it was stressful. I loved to be a physician. I always wanted to help people, which was great. But I couldn't really express the naturopath part that I was in Germany. So I really overstressed myself and didn't pay attention to my body, didn't pay attention to my real needs. And that made me get sick.
Right. Well,
and it's all meant to be. I really believe that. And you said in your life there were instances like that too.
No, yes. Even right back to childhood, there's been different things that have happened to me that, they're just totally unexplainable, that couldn't be anything else but then a higher power. Things happen for a reason. Sometimes when you are in a position and you're at your lowest point, and you don't know which way to turn, that's when it happens. I've heard one person say one time, and I don't even know who the person was, so I couldn't really quote them, but it's artistic things and great things usually come from a dark place.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Right, that's pretty deep. But, in other words, that sometimes you have to be right down and out of it before you'll actually have the courage. Because really you don't have any other option, right?
That's true.
To take that next step. Because sometimes fear is what holds us back.
Very much so.
Our own fear.
Yeah.
Of saying that that little voice of, you can't, that's the ego, telling you can't. And yet ego is always going to be there telling you can't. Mm-hmm. You can't do it. You can't do it. But yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can do whatever you set your mind to in some capacity or another.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be huge. Just plant the seeds. It's like everything. It's like a garden, you plant the seeds. The seeds grow, you water the garden, you look after it, you allow the sun to shine on it, and it sprouts, and then all of a sudden it comes into a nice flower, and it blooms, and it's beautiful.
Most of the time it ends up that way, and that's nice.
But it starts in the dark.
Oh, yes, it always does.
The seeds in the dark.
And for many people, the dark is a nervous breakdown or a serious illness that suddenly throws them in a place where they recognize there's something else I want to do before I die.
Yeah.
And that's where many of our clients come from, and that's where I myself came from. Mm-hmm. And I still remember that inner voice that held me back when I was driving towards a pillar on the 102, trying to hit it with the van, and instead said, no, you go to the emergency room instead and get help.
That's right.
And I'm so glad I did, because it now helps me to help others. But without that little voice, God knows what would have happened.
Well, that's right, and thank goodness that you were able to tap into it and that you listened to it. I believe that everybody has the capability of tapping into a higher sense, some people say, or a sixth sense, a higher power, whatever it is that you want to label it. But I do believe that everybody has a capability of going there if you just calm yourself and you're open to it. And
I couldn't agree more. And some people call it God or Allah. I believe if you don't take it the literal religious way, it's all the same.
Yes, it's more of a spiritual.
Yeah.
Well, then we could get off into another topic there. But basically, it's more of a spiritual, it's more open, it's accepting for everybody and whoever that encompasses.
Yeah, and I feel that the spiritual part of all world religion is really identical, whether it's Christian meditation or prayer or the Islamic Kabbalah of the Jews. And it's quite interesting. I did a little bit about comparative religions in my time, but I'm really more now of a universal spiritual being, like you said. And I like that with yoga and the nutrition and the reflexology, you really bind it in with the mind-body-spirit connection.
Yes, absolutely. We in the break also we talked about the chakras. There's 7 chakras in the body, and having them aligned up. Well, of course, every yoga posture correlates to the chakra, and it works on opening it up or closing it, or finding a balance. Some are over excessive in the chakra, or they're deficient, and it's just like anything in life, it's to find the balance. You don't want to go too far one direction and too far in the other direction. You just want to find a good, happy medium, and that's really what life is about, and that comes down to all aspects, really, when you really think about it, but keeping in scope with my line of work, it's nutrition ties in with the yoga, and the reflexology is a medical treatment for the whole body, and it's applied through pressure points on the feet and hands. And it tells me a lot about the individual, not personally, medically, and it allows me to be able to guide them into the nutrition portion of things, to be able to help them to enhance that area that could be impeded for energy. And then, of course, there's always the stretching and whatnot to keep the stress levels down. And also stretching is not just and yoga is not just about exercise. It's, again, a mind-body spirit connection.
And yoga has also a breathing component, which I think is very important. Many people don't breathe properly. They just inhale a little bit of air.
we only use about a quarter of our lungs if we're what they call shallow breathing. And it's interesting because when we're born as little infants in the crib, if you ever watched a baby, they diaphragm breathe, which is their belly blows right up, and then they take the breath right in until their lungs get developed, and then they go to shallow breathing. So of course, if we get stressed out, think about it, your breathing becomes even more shallow. So therefore you're not thinking clearly, you're not getting enough oxygen to the brain, so you can't make a decision.
And I think it's really important to know that when we feel stressed out, the best way to de-stress is really to take a few really deep breaths.
Yes, good to go back to that belly diaphragm breathing. Push your belly out like a big balloon and fill it right up, and then bring the air up to the chest area and the lungs, and then just slowly allow it to leave.
Yeah, I find myself that fashion sometimes impedes a good breathing routine, because if you wear tight pants, you really can't breathe properly, can't you?
No, that's true. You can't unless you want to pop a button.
Yeah.
Sometimes
that's inappropriate. I think that's part of the reason, and I myself hate wearing tight, unelastic pants. Just for that reason.
Because it restricts you in your breath. Yes. Yeah. Well, I could certainly see that, how that would happen. Yeah.
So before we have to close the session, which I hate to do because it's really interesting.
We could talk forever.
No, we could talk forever, and I would love to. And you said you have Facebook pages you wanted to mention.
Oh,
Just go ahead to do that.
Yes, the best way to get a hold of me is on Facebook. I do have a couple pages. I have a personal page, of course, under Diana Doherty. And then there's the business portion of it, which is Your Wellness Coach.
Your Wellness Coach?
Yes, Your Wellness Coach. So they can be either page, contacted me through that, or by word of mouth. I'm sure there's quite a few people that I run into in a run of a week that know me as well.
Yeah, and I always, at the end of the taping, I always mention my email here, and they can certainly contact me to contact you, and I will give you all the information to contact Diana. Yes. And I really want to say that I'm very interested in what you do and love that you bind it really all together, the mind-body wellness connection. And it is so important that people know that there's more out there than just popping a pill for the headache.
Oh, yes, definitely. It's that should be the last alternative, really, to be popping the pill, as you say. But
and as you said, sometimes it's appropriate, sometimes it's the best option. And as we both say, conventional medicine is extremely valuable in certain situations. Yes. When I broke my arm, I was very happy about conventional medicine. So there's no question about it. Right. And that brings me to the end of today's show. Thank you so much, Diana, for being here today. It was my pleasure.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed myself, and I hope things go well for you in your future shows.
Thank you, and the same for you in your projects. And please don't hesitate me with any questions, thoughts, comments, or suggestions, or if you'd like to contact Diana. My email here is christine@communityradio.ca, or contact me through my website, docchristine.com. And I'm always grateful for feedback. I also want to extend a special thank you to today's producer, Jim Francis. Jim, you're the best. You might not know this, but this is a volunteer-run, non-profit radio station, and we even have an art gallery. If you're local and you'd like to drop in, we are at 11 Glendale Avenue, Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia. Thank you all for listening to Healthy Alternatives.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Dr. Christine Sauer. Tune in next Thursday at noon on 97.5 CIOE-FM Community Radio with live stream on communityradio.ca for the next episode. Goodbye and have a great day.